Okay, Ryan, you're right in there. You're looking real good. Okay, so we've got um one thing I noticed is we don't have pictograms. We don't have our final pictograms. We got to get those presented. I know you've got one right here, but right now we're only seeing one pictogram. So that's something I think that we're a little bit underdeveloped in terms of showing your pictograms, and so that the viewer can establish a relationship between the actual logo, the visual language established in the logo, and that of the pictograms, just to create this harmonious continuation in the visual language that you've established. These are good. I think things are good here. And I talked about these in critique, so I'll leave that alone for now. So the shirts look good. And again, I say I would apply these on actual live images of people wearing T-shirts, and use Photoshop to create a displacement map and apply the graphics to the actual shirts in the images. I think that's a really super interesting way to go. Over here, these are fantastic, and stuff like this is really where the rubber hits the road. These are just fantastic. They look beautiful, this especially. I mean, that looks like it's something that would be an actual building graphic. These are creating this kind of personal relationship with the viewer because they're not too far away. So as I look at them, I'm saying, I can imagine myself in this scene looking at these. This one, the focal point is so far away from the actual design elements that it's a little fragmented. So I think in something that might be a little more effective than this is showing these things a little closer, like maybe showing a skier going by the signs themselves, or maybe the top of the hill where they're getting ready to take off, and then you have the sign. You see what I'm saying? So it's a little bit difficult to say, looking at this image, saying, okay, you want me to look at this, this, and this in a plane that's this big. They're just too small, and it creates an uncomfortable visual tension. So for that reason, again, I think it's more effective to get your viewer closer and more personal with the graphics. These are great. I love this. This is fantastic. This is what you were talking about establishing this digital involvement. I think it's fantastic. I may even go further with this with you've got your responsive sites. So show the regular website, mock it up on an iMac, or mock it up on actual computer screen sitting on a desk, and then also on your smaller devices, phones, tablets, etc. But other than that, you're doing really well. But I think we're still, if we take a look at the project rubric for this week, we're a little underdeveloped right here in depth and scope of ideations and processes. Because right now we're looking at things like the inclusion of things like environmental graphics, large-scale building graphics, event tickets, websites, apparel, print programs, banners, kiosks, arena graphics, vehicle wraps, sporting event graphics, posters, digital media, merchandising. And one of our classmates even went ahead and designed food packaging for the concession areas. Really, really creative stuff. So I'd like to see you take this a step further. Now, don't forget, this coming week, we're going into final presentation. So all this stuff has to be done. Everything has to be done at that point so that we can start looking at your final presentation in terms of, are you telling an effective story? Are you telling an effective verbal story? Are you selling the location? Are you telling a compelling visual story? Is your sequencing developing a good cadence to the story? And is it received well by the viewer? And we'll get into things like that in terms of looking at composition, page mechanics, typography, grid usage, etc. So we'll be looking for that next week. So as I said, my only concern is right here in the rubric is depth and scope of ideations and processes, because technically we should be ready to take this right into final presentation. And I just don't think there's enough examples of your branding package applied to real live situations. Okay, good job. Any questions, please let me know.